How's it going? Good afternoon. I just wanted to get on and do a video on how I set up my board since I came in to owning a Tonex One. Actually, I was hanging out in a live with Doug DougDopplerMusic. If you ever checked out his channel, he was live yesterday. I told him how I have this thing running with two HX Stomps, and he thought it was interesting. So I thought I'd just do a quick video on how I'm running it, why I'm running it this way. And how I'm taking advantage of everything in the stomps and the Tonex at the same time as much as I can. But thank you, Doug, for the idea. For the motivation to make a little video here. But basically, what I got going on is my standard input stage. Compressor, EQ, and I got a dual stage drive here, Queen of Tone. I like it a lot. But more often than not, I'm actually using the drives and the stomps. Live recently, more often than these. But this stomp, so coming out of the drive into here, this is an all mono chain. I'm nothing but drives. I do have a mono delay in there if I want to do like a galloping U2 type thing. I have a POG in here, a dual pitch block, which isn't hooked up to any switches right now, but if I need it, I can quickly hook it up to one of the switches. I just don't have it off because I was using the delay. And I used to have this set to another foot, foot switch versus the tap tempo. But when I added the delay, I needed the tap tempo because I don't have these synced yet. They're not MIDI synced. I have MIDI running into this stomp, but it's not running from there into there. And I want to do that so I can take advantage of using this board on this stomp as well. But right now, it's not set up that way. So this is just an all mono chain. It's nice because I can do things like the dual pitch block. And not run out of DSP because I'm not running any amps, anything crazy like that. I'm not even running reverbs, although if I want to, I can run mono verbs, before the amp, if I ever wanted to do that, and delays as well, of course. But the mono chain out from the first HX Stomp goes right into the Tonex One. And from out of the Tonex One, I'm going mono into here, and then from here, it's all stereo effects out to the house or my board, wherever. But it's all stereo here for your reverbs, delays, your lushy choruses, but it's all mono up to this point. And I like having the HX Stomp set up like this because I can control the input the input level hitting the Tonex One very easily with the master volume. Right now, this is set. Just my raw tone. Right now on the Tonex One, I have a cleaner AC30 from Tone Shepherd. If we switch over, now I have a more gainy one. I think that sounds awesome. I was just listening back to my live for a second from this morning, and I've never been more happy with my tone. So thanks to the Tone Shepherd for offering that great Tonex capture, the AC30 capture. That's the one I got. And that's the only one I've been using live since I got it, so it's a really good capture set. But I can control that, and it's important because for some captures, you don't want to be diming the gain. I have this set. If we were to go to input, check the input gain, I'm not clipping. Even if I crank on the drives, I'm not going to clip. So if we take a look at the input gain now, even with both drives, I'm going to hit both on the Queen of Tone. I'm still not clipping. So I find that works pretty good for this AC30 set. But if I go into my other mode here for a second, I also have, I have the Van Halen 78-79 pack on here. And on my third, if we go into alternate mode and go to my third option here, now I have the 78-79 capture. I'm going to turn off my compressor, and I'm going to switch this. I have another preset. I haven't done too much with, configuring crazy effects so far. Like I have this one thing I've been using for live play. It's got some drives, it's got a delay. And here I have this thing called Eddie's board. So this is more or less, it's got its phaser on there, it's got a flanger. But with the Tonex capture, then Jim Gaustad himself said this: you don't want to be pinning the gain, or you don't want to be pinning the input stage on the Tonex One. So with these Van Halen captures, I'm going to dial this back. You can hear some of that hiss go. I'm going to 1 o'clock or so, still gainy as all you need it for the Van Halen. And if I was to do that, I would go over here on my stereo stomp, and I have a couple of presets. One is more or less like a 1984 style with a stereo chorus. That's this one. But this one here is dialed in to be more or less Van Halen 1, so it's got the plate reverb and a touch of delay. But the important thing again is Jim Gaustad was talking about that it doesn't sound quite right when you're pinning the input gain, so it's very important that you bring this back. And he was even saying for some of the stuff like I'm the One, you might even want to dial it back even further depending on your pickups, because he was using a rather not so aggressive pickups doing those captures. I don't remember what he said, maybe 7 or 8 ohms. I forget exactly what it was. But if you have something in the 10 plus ohm range, you're going to want to dial that back so you don't, just over compress and fizz out the sound of the capture. So I like the HX Stomp here for that purpose alone. It allows me to fine tune the input going into the Tonex One. And again, I'm not going to run out of DSP, whatever I need here. Right now I got, 3 or 4 blocks here. I could put whatever else I could possibly need, and I, would not run out of DSP. Over here is pretty much the same situation. Again, I'm not running any amps, IRs, or anything like that in the stereo stomp. I'm using nothing but delays, reverbs, and mods. So that affords me the ability to do whatever I want effects-wise over here. I can use 1 or 2 stereo complex delays on top of a complex reverb and not run out of DSP. So I think it's a great setup like this. Again, I can switch kind of back and forth. If now I'm in rock mode. So right now that almost sounds a little thin. It's dialed back a little bit too far, so we bring it back to 1 or 2 o'clock. You dial it back for that, but I can switch very easily back into, if I'm playing live at church or something, I just go over to this other preset, Tonex One. I kick on my compressor. I'm going to bring this back up because I think these AC30 captures again sound better. With you fairly, the input gain is it's not clipping, but it's definitely high enough. It's not thin by any means. Now this switcher down here, again, I did want to eventually connect these via MIDI, but this one only controls this stomp here, so I can switch very easily, go back and forth with presets, and then I can kick on effects using my, the CC commands underneath. And then the only thing I need to do right now, I have that the third option you have on the Tonex One. That's for the Van Halen. So I went into alternate mode or whatever you call this, and I'm going to switch back over to my AC30 captures. And right away we're back into, We did this one this morning. You Won't Relent. It's a great old worship song. I think it's got to be at least 10 or 12 years old now. But it's a great one. It's all electric guitar at the start. It sounded really good. I listened back to that, and again, thanks to the Tone Shepherd for the AC30 Pack, because it's hard to tell what you sound like when you're listening, with Avioms or something in your monitors. I always go ahead and listen to the YouTube feed after the fact, and that's the best I can do in terms of figuring out how I sound. So, and today it sounded really good. They're bright, they're crisp, but they're not too crisp, they're not too bitey, they're just perfect, I think. So these captures are really good. But if you have devices like this lying around and the Tonex One, the one thing I do suggest is, if you can, figure out a way to have an option like this where you can control the master out or whatever you're going into the Tonex One with, so you can maneuver that input gain level. So depending on the capture, you might want to bring that back. It's just a good option to have. Going into the Tonex One, because I know with a lot of captures, we all notice if you've been playing the Tonex, the input gain can be touchy, so you want to have that approximately right for whatever capture you're working with to sound best. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I think it's a great little rig here. I'm never going to run out of DSP on either stomp, so I can program effects galore. Always running stereo out into the house. So I'm able to take advantage of the stereo effects on the stomp, and I think they're good enough. They're not fractal, but I think they're pretty much good enough for playing at church. I think it always sounds great, especially today. Combined with the good tone on the Tonex One, the effects really shine nicely. So if you have anything like this, take a look at this. It's just my current strategy. It could change depending on the next piece of gear I buy for this board, but I'm pretty happy overall right now. I'm certainly not in gas mode for the stadium. I got this Tonex One, and I've been pretty happy with the tones ever since I figured out and kind of finished dialing it in. So I'm pretty happy with the whole setup here. The HX Stomp rule and the Tonex on top of it, I just think it's a great addition. I got this for $150, and you can transform your tone. So I think it's a steal, for that price. Even for a little bit more. I know they're typically $180 or whatever, but I think it's still worth it at that price for the power you get in the pedal. But I hope you got something out of this. It's just my little current strategy, combining the HX world with the Tonex One world, and I'm getting pretty happy. I'm getting good results out of it. I'm pretty happy with it. So have a great day. Thanks.